Welcome back. This, of course, is K24 this morning. Time for us to get up close and personal. And today, our next guest is a person who, by profession, is a mechanical engineer. By passion, loves renewable energy. And, of course, by extension, of course, taking care of the environment. And that's a chat we're having today as far as clean cooking is concerned and why it's such a big deal, even as we move into 2020 proper. He is the CEO of Clean Cooking Association of Kenya, Mr. David Maina. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And it's interesting because even as talking about you being a mechanical engineer, and then as your journey progressed, you realized, okay, fine, probably we need to look at renewable sources of energy. Let's take it even before that. What made you feel like, okay, fine, I think I want to become an engineer? Was it the pressure for you either a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer once you've passed to KCSE? Is that how you ended up there?
I would say it's a combination of many forces.
Right.
And I think that is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But as a young person, I wanted to make a difference in society and to have influence. I've always wanted to make some impact on people's lives and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought engineering was the best way to provide solutions, and it was a good opportunity for me. So I decided to do that. Of course, I scored the right marks to
right.
to go to do engineering, and yeah, I ended up there. So also my parents had an influence, so they encouraged me to take up, because I was good at technical courses,
Right.
physics, mathematics. That's how I ended up being an engineer.
Were there any other engineers in the family who are older than you that you are told, you should be like so-and-so? He scored well and became an engineer.
Actually, my family and I would say relatives and all that, the larger family, most of them are teachers.
Right.
So I wouldn't say that they in any way inspired me professional-wise to go into engineering. But one of the many, as I talked with my uncles, my aunties, they'd always tell us as young people, you know, we have enough teachers in the family. Can we go into something else? We need lawyers, we need doctors, we need engineers. So that is how I would say somehow pushed out of the usual teaching that was a bit more prevalent. So I chose engineering.
And how was it, getting into engineering? And, in high school, it's all fun and games as you're doing your physics and your math. And then you land into first year and you realize, this is the big one. This is what I'd been trying to get my entire life. And it's quite the task. How was it for you?
I would say high school prepared me.
Where did you go to high school, by the way?
I went to Lenana School. And Lenana School then, a few things may have changed. Then was quite dynamic, and you were exposed to freedom, a bit more freedom than other schools expose their students to, which allowed quite a number of us, say the majority, to explore our talents and all that, whether it's in sports and all that. So I knew how to balance my time, my family, and my studies. So when I went to study engineering, it was not easy. Engineering is a bit tasking. It involves you dedicating a lot of hours to study, meaning you not have as much fun out there as other students do. So it was a bit tough. Of course, at one point it hits you that I need to put a bit more hours. I need to put more effort. You're not the brightest kid
in the class
anymore. So that, of course, you experience. I think most of us experience that. So I'm not a genius. So at one point you get some scores and you realize it's time to
I need to put in the work.
Exactly.
It's interesting. You're the first Lenana person I've met who didn't start with that as their first statement. Most Lenana guys I know, you don't even know their name, and they're coming telling you they're from Lenana. I'm like, stop it. What's your name? Let's start from there.
Lenana. If you've been to Lenana, it's a I would say it's a very enriching and experience. So most people are proud to be associated with the school. Of course, our rivals patch Nairobi School. So we always have a very good time talking about it. And of course, we always try to support the young ones who are in school, you know, to aspire and achieve the best they can.
Let me guess, in Lenana, were you playing rugby? Were you part of that squad? It was part and parcel.
I mean, if you went to Lenana and never played rugby,
right,
then you failed in life.
Did you take it forward in uni? Did you continue playing at that particular level?
No. Unfortunately, my body couldn't allow. So I got an injury that meant I couldn't do very intense sports, and rugby is a bit intense physically. So I put it on hold, and I decided to do other things.
To focus on your studies. Okay, let's talk about having finished uni. You have your degree. You can go out there and be the mechanical engineer you wanted to be. Where did you start? What did you look for? What was the plan at that particular time?
So after my degree, my graduation, I started looking for work. Now, interestingly, it's good to mention, before I joined campus, then you had to wait a whole year before you joined the regular campus. So I went to Strathmore University and did my CPA. So I'm also a CPA.
All the way to K?
Not a K, but I'm a finalist.
Okay, you got to the third part.
I finished all the CPA units and passed.
You're a bad man when it comes to mathematics. Hey, okay.
So I did my CPAs then. And I think, and it's something I think the government is working on, getting attachments or even jobs, good jobs in engineering is not easy. You have to be lucky, you know, sometimes and all that. So when I was in my first year, I was offered an internship job at UAP Insurance. When I was in second year, they called me again when I was on holiday to assist in their pensions administration, the medical unit. So I would say my internships were in campus were more on the CPA side of things
than the engineering side.
The engineering side of things.
More importantly, were they paying?
Yes.
Okay, so you are a very happy man at campus then.
Yes. So I think that also guided my direction after campus. So I didn't go to work in a factory, as quite a number of my classmates did, or into hardcore mechanical engineering. I went into I initially went into research, so I was one of the first, the founding members of the Strathmore Energy Research Center. That was my first assignment, doing research in renewable energy and all that, and capacity building in the university. And then I transitioned to what is now called the Kenya Climate Innovation Center, where I was doing I was a technology analyst then, because of my technical background. So I was supporting entrepreneurs, and these are startups in agribusiness, in water, and in renewable energy, to prototype their technologies, patent them, develop their business plans. So my CPO, my business knowledge training also helped in that.
Playing out.
Yeah. So I went into what you can call project management slowly. So I transitioned from the KCIC to the Kenya Association of Manufacturers. In between, I did a bit of consultancy work before I joined CAM, where I was managing projects, energy projects, so promotion of renewable energies, and that included clean cooking technologies.
Is that when you were first introduced to the concept?
I was introduced when I was working with entrepreneurs at the Innovation Center, Climate Innovation Center. It's a very interesting place. You should go visit. But so that is where I got introduced to the technologies of clean cooking and the fuels and the whole climate change arena. So that is where I would say the seed was planted. So when I moved to CAM, I did mostly renewable energy projects and managing projects, and also advocacy. CAM is quite well known with advocacy work, so that's where I learned how to do advocacy, to do research in policy, and it's a whole skill altogether.
Right,
So
right.
that is what I would say set me up for my current role
Okay.
at Clean Cooking Association of Kenya.
Right, and we'll be talking about that because I'm looking at your journey and it almost feels like out of university, from what you had experienced as an intern, you realize that you probably don't want to be a hardcore mechanical engineer. There's a whole different line of things you want to try and do. Why was that? Do you not see yourself at one point being head of engineering at a certain firm, or was it just events that led you in a different direction?
I think life can take you in different ways. I've seen engineers who are journalists.
Very true. Very
Yes,
true.
so sometimes you graduate and you realize, and the opportunities that you come across sometimes take you very far from your training, and you learn new skills, and or sometimes they take you to a different part of your, within the same field. I would say I'm still, to some extent, very much in the engineering field,
Right.
because renewable energy and all that has the technical aspect to it. But I've moved now from that to project management and advocacy, which is one of the key roles at CCAK. So I would say it's what life can throw many things at you.
Right.
You choose and you decide. So for me, I didn't, from very early on, and my mentors know this, I think in the 4th year, I already told one of my mentors, Professor Sparling from Strathmore University, that I think I am better off in management and all that than in hardcore engineering.
Right.
I also would say I visited a few factories, and my experience with hardcore engineering was not so inspiring.
Right.
You get a graduate who is poorly paid, and and you say, why should I study 5 years of engineering and end up like this? So,
Right.
of course, there is a brighter side to it also, but I thought from very, I would say midway in the training, I realized that my line may not be very
Right.
much at hardcore engineering.
Okay.
So I was better in management and all that. So that's
Right.
why when the opportunity came, I decided to,
Follow that direction.
yes.
Okay, let's talk about the opportunity that presented itself in terms of the Clean Cooking Association of Kenya. You're the CEO of this association. What really is it about? Because people hear clean cooking and they have all sorts of conjectures in their mind. What's the association really about?
So clean cooking, most people may think, cooking is just cooking. And we've been brought up, a lot of us have been brought up in the kitchen, I would call it that way. Because your parents or your mom was always in the kitchen
Right.
cooking, and the smoke, and especially if you are brought up in the rural areas. But clean cooking needs to be taken to the next level, and that is what CCAK, or the Clean Cooking Association of Kenya, is trying to do, to promote a more healthier and environmental friendly way of cooking in terms of the technology that is used, the fuel that is used, because a lot of people out there, a lot of Kenyans out there are suffering because of the effects of using very poor or simple or traditional methods of cooking. And maybe just to draw some facts out there, more than 21,000 deaths in Kenya are attributable to what we call household air pollution. Basically inhaling soot and smoke from these dirty fuels, I'll call them.
Right.
Because you're using, the 3-stone fire, and the rooms that they're cooking, especially women and children, where the cooking is taking place, all this is taking place, not very well ventilated. So 21,000 people in Kenya die because of household air pollution.
Right.
So the Clean Cooking Association of Kenya is promoting and advocating for the adoption of clean cooking fuels and stoves okay? And there are a variety of them, from using more efficient cook stoves that use biomass, that is firewood or briquettes or any kind of biomass. And also other newer technologies such as ethanol, biogas. I don't know whether you've ever interacted with biogas. And also even LPG, electric cooking. It's very interesting. A quick survey was carried out during the recently concluded Clean Cooking Forum. And quite a number of people in the room actually say they use electricity to cook. So it's not a foreign concept. It's something that can be promoted. Our grid is highly, to a large extent, renewable. So in terms of impact to environment, you also contributed in a positive way.
But some people might hear that, David, and they're like, okay, it sounds like a good idea, but it sounds expensive. You know, you talk about biogas, you talk about the briquettes. They're like, me, I just want to cook my food, heat, cook my tea, and I don't want to break the bank doing that. I want to save the environment, but it's just too costly for me. How do you deal with that perception challenge? So
those are challenges that we are trying to deal with. Sometimes they're not perceptions. It's actually a real challenge. Access to finance is one of the challenges towards the adoption of clean cooking. Kenya has revised the target for universal access, 100%, universal access to modern clean cooking technologies from 2030 to 2028. So the CS, or Ministry of Energy, during the Clean Cooking Forum, announced that Kenya has pushed it forward to 2028. So it's an ambitious target.
What makes them feel so confident that they decided to cut it down by 2?
I guess we'll wait and see, because it requires a lot of commitment. Resources have to be set aside, and significant resources need to be set aside to reach that target. So financing is a challenge, both for innovation, R&D, and consumer financing for people to access LPG, which is cleaner than cooking with wood or charcoal, and to access technologies such as ethanol or cook with electricity. Electricity at the moment, and maybe that is where you'd want me to explain, I think not 100%. I mean, cooking with the coil or, but there are certain technologies that an electric pressure cooker.
Right.
So there is one that is being introduced in the market, a bit pricey, but can cook githeri in minutes rather than in hours. And so when you do the math, how much energy you've consumed and how much you would have consumed if you had cooked with charcoal or firewood, you realize it's actually cheaper to cook using the pressure cooker with electricity than charcoal.
Right.
So, but of course, the perception bit of it, even for people to adopt it, because when you do maybe the calculation, you realize if I was to switch to the pressure cooker, I would recover my money in, say, 3 months or 6 months, and forget about charcoal or firewood. But that perception has to change. So there's a lot of awareness that needs to go out there, and not only on electric cooking, but on the entire range.
Okay, let's talk about your journey even in this particular path as CEO, because from what you're telling me, it almost seems like everything just seems to fall in place. You're in campus when people are trying to get money for going out, you're getting internships that are being paid in second year. From there, you get out, you get into Strathmore, you get into different spaces. It just seems like it was falling into place as you were moving along. Let's talk about some of the challenges you faced, because I'm sure there had to be something in your way that you felt, I hadn't thought it would go this way, but here I am. What's the biggest challenge you think you faced when you look back on your journey?
I would say, or I would attribute to, where I am to a lot of people. Of course, my wife, family, and my mentors. So I would say with proper mentorship and guidance, you can achieve faster the goals that you've set yourself in life. So, and then the focus, of course, helps. But, of course, it's not been rosy.
Right.
The midway my career journey, I would say so far, at one point I didn't have a job for quite a while. And I was hustling and, you know, doing all kinds of things, consultancy, you know, selling all kinds of things out there in the market. Nairobi can be harsh.
Right.
So it's not been rosy. So we've gone through parts where you're not sure also, is it what I really want to, I want to actually do or go into. The whole of my life, I've never worked I've never had a permanent and pensionable job.
Right.
I always work on contracts, and I think it's a personality or a character issue where you always feel confident that, okay, yeah, whether it will be renewed, I'm very confident because I'm delivering, or something else will come up and I'll move on to something new. So life has a lot of uncertainties,
Right.
but you have to keep positive and encourage yourself, surround yourself with the right people who encourage you, challenge you. So I mean, it's been tough, I would say.
We'll be looking at some of the pictures that we have that will take us down memory lane on that. But before we do that, as we get them ready, you said at one point you didn't have work. When you're called into the office and you're told, David Maina, thank you so much, it has been a good run we've had, but you'll have to go. What was the plan? You know, at that time, because a man feels like his identity is what he does. There's the ego that's there. There are all these issues that are there. How do you deal with that?
It is not. I would say it's never easy, and without proper guidance or someone to encourage you, and you can actually it can be downhill. So I would say it's challenging. With the moment I was told, you need to get something else to do because from next month you need to exit. At that point, I didn't have an option. So, but a few friends helped me. There's this job opportunity. They will share opportunities. There's this consultancy job I think you can do. Why don't you apply? They make a recommendation. You apply. You do the job. So that keeps you going. So and I learned a lot during that period because I was engaged in youth empowerment, women empowerment. I did some projects to support women and youth. And I think I would say it was part of my nurturing to even my current role.
To get where you are in terms of what you're doing
because
now.
When you talk about clean cooking, you're talking more of the young women are a lot associated with it. So I learned a lot of skills. I was working for entrepreneurs most of the time. So you also learn the dynamics of starting a business, helping it grow, because that was my background. So I learned a lot of skills during that time, but it was not easy because you have to pay your bills, and sometimes the payment comes late, the check doesn't come on time.
And life still must go on somehow.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, let's look at some of the pictures that we have right here, even as we talk about that. What was going on here, we can see on the extreme right from where we're looking, but what's going on here?
So this was in Denmark. I was in Copenhagen at the Technical University of Denmark, and I was one of the Kenyans who were participating in a training supported by the Danish government on circular economy, which looks at how we can move away from linear kind of production and consumption to a more circular, sustainable way of production and consumption.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are friends I met, quite a number of Kenyans and Indonesians. Okay.
What's going on this one?
So this is a project, this is Kwale County, and these are part of the administration of Kwale County. And what you're doing with Kwale at CCAK is we are trying to encourage women to go into clean cooking business. So entrepreneurship, encourage them to go into entrepreneurship, and working with the national government to enlighten them of opportunities of funding, using the affirmative funds that are available, such as the Women Fund and the Youth Fund. So that is one of the projects we're implementing at CCAK.
Okay, we have another picture that we'll have on screen in a second.
I think that's the same forum. Yes, yes.
You doing your public speaking thing.
I didn't know I could speak in Swahili. This was Kwale, Lunga Lunga, deep in Kwale County.
Right.
And yeah, this is also...
so you had to bring out the best Swahili you learned
yes,
in Lenana.
In Lenana.
As a Lenana old boy.
I got an A, so... and I haven't forgotten much of it, so
right.
I was impressed, or I impressed myself.
Because they usually say, you know what they usually say, yes, you'll have an A in your Kiswahili paper, but you only know if you know Kiswahili until once you go to Mombasa.
Yes.
And you have to speak fluently for more than half an hour.
So here I'm demonstrating how, or what a modern Jiko looks like, and how to use it and all that. This is one of the entrepreneurs that we work with at CCAK. Yeah.
So this is just showing them that it actually works, and this is how you can actually practically use clean cooking in your home, wherever you are.
Yeah.
Okay, this is interesting. Right there.
I think we're in the same forum.
Okay, we'll move on to the next photo real quick. Aha. Let's talk about this.
Oh, this is my wife, Helen. This is our wedding a few years ago.
Right.
Yeah, so this is one of the milestones in life.
Right. And for a person who, like you said, with your type of job, at times it might get demanding when you're, leading such an association. How do you create the balance? Because I always like to talk to people who are in that space, because yes, she'll understand that you're busy, but she'll only understand to a certain point. Now you can't delegate this duty. You need to come and be a husband. How do you balance the two?
It's not easy, and I'm still learning how to balance it. So it takes time. They get to understand what you're doing, why you need sometimes to be away, because the job also involves a bit of traveling. It demands that sometimes you work. And sometimes not always the best thing, you have to do some work at home, and so you're not with the kids, and so I would say she's also learning to adapt to. Right.
Is she an engineer as well? Did you find her in the same space?
No, she's not an engineer.
What does she do?
She's a businesswoman.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at least from an entrepreneurial place, you get each other on that one.
Yes, because sometimes she also has to be away and busy doing other things, and I'm left to take care of the kids or to support her. So I would say you need someone who understands, and it's something you learn into. So I would say it's an experience that you both go through, and as long as there's an understanding and respect and the love is there, you manage.
Okay, fantastic stuff. How many kids, by the way?
I have 2 kids, 2 boys.
2 boys.
Yes.
So I can imagine it's a handful. When you get home, it's a handful every single time.
Yes.
Fantastic stuff. I mean, that's where we're going to wind it as far as our conversation is concerned. But for some people who might want to get in touch with you, either to learn more about, clean cooking, renewable energy, or even mentorship, because you've been through quite a bit. We can see what's happening right now with the era of layoffs and corporate restructuring. People might need somebody who actually knows how it feels to have gone through that. Where can they reach out to you on social media? Where can they find you?
I'm on social media, mostly on Twitter, so you can get me at Dean Jugi. For CCAK, at Clean Cooking KE, you can ask your questions there. We have a social media team that will respond to you. On Facebook, Dean Jugi is my sign off, so you can always reach out to me on social media. I'm more on Twitter, I would say.
You're more responsive on Twitter.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic stuff. Thank you so much, Mr. Maina.
Thank you.
Thank you
for inviting me.
A great 2020, even as we jump into this, because I'm sure there are big plans ahead as well.
Yes,
all the best with that.
Thank you so much.
And all the best with the family and the 2 boys.
Okay. Asante sana.
Fantastic stuff.
Okay.
Getting up close and personal with David Maina, who's the CEO of Clean Cooking Association of Kenya. And as even you get into the year proper, you might as well think about how you'll also change your renewable energy, not only for the environment, but also it makes perfect sense for your bottom line. If you're going to spend less in the long run, you're saving your pocket and you're saving the environment as well. It's a win-win. This is Up Close and Personal. Plenty more coming up, of course, after the break.